Hi, so we continue with this series for productivity. And also, this is a mastermind. It's called Reset Rebuild Mastermind. And I am Rachel Kaiser, and I'm a business coach and also a productivity coach. So this is episode 10, and I'm continuing from the last episode. And today we are moving really from working actually a plan, and I'm going to now talk about more strategic planning. Okay. And first, I'll define what strategic planning is. So, strategic planning is essentially the process of where we review where we are, and then we look at where we're going, and then determine how we can get there. Okay. So, one of the things that we want to talk about with strategic planning is it's really planning for the future. Okay. We saw how work, you're usually planning now to make sure that you attain the goals that you've set out for yourself. You set out those goals and you want to work on them. So you create a plan, a work plan, schedule. Okay. This is more about the future. This is more about looking where you want to go. So that future could start anywhere from the next quarter, according to your plans for the year. You could then go into a year, and then 2 or 3 years, and then 5 years or 10 years, however that may be for you. Okay. And so we want to talk about what the benefits of strategic planning are. So that is, something that we want to really review and see what the benefits are. So the benefits, first of all, as we list them, I'm going to just give a high overview about each of them. So one of them, of course, is increased productivity. And why is that? So it's increased productivity because one of the things is it allows you to really sit down and see where you are and then where you're going, just as I talked about in the definition. So when you do that, it helps you really to assess, okay, and see what have I accomplished, what do I yet have to accomplish, and where am I going? So this renewed review all the time really gives us a push, to help us go forward, to help us really work towards attaining those goals. Okay. And then the other thing also it does, which is two, is really to help us assess our strengths and also our weaknesses. Now, I touched that a little bit in the prior video. So if you can watch the prior video, which is the episode 9, I was talking about this. But what it does is when you assess, you try to see, okay, where am I doing well or where am I not doing so well? And then you also assess, why am I not doing that as well as I would like? Okay. And this gives us a chance to really see and determine areas we can improve upon, areas we maybe need some people to help us. Again, goes back to helping and delegation. Okay. And so we move forward, at least with that knowledge, with where we are doing well and where we may not be doing well, so that we can take care of those areas that we need to actually take care of. So that's one of the things. And then the third is having set a future direction. So the thing about strategic planning, which could be different maybe from, say, planning your work, is that it makes you plan for the future. So when you plan for the future, whether it's for your life, your career, or your business, or any other area that you're planning for, what happens is that it helps you actually to be proactive. So you can focus the future, you look into it, you see the trends that are going on, and then you create plans to act accordingly versus being reactive. Okay. So strategic planning helps us to be proactive rather than being reactive. And going back to that point, which is point 4, the thing about it is it helps us to research, it helps us to get more information. One of the things that we want to do is just giving an as example. If you, for example, a small business owner, if you have a team with you, actually you could get together with them, and I strongly suggest you also get together with them and involve them in this. maybe after you, as if the owner of the business, or if you're a higher level manager, um, you could do the planning, but it's also good to involve your team. The reason for this is your team may give you information that you may not have been aware of, or you may not know, just from where, because they're in the day to day doing of the tasks, of the things that need get to be done, and your responsibility might be at a higher level, which no one is wrong, no one is better than the other. It's just that the people doing the work every day usually have a better, understanding, a better insight of some of the problems might be on the lower side of things. And if you don't take care of them on the lower side of things, it gets into this big thing. And as you go forward, or the customer goes forward, um, the experience may not be so good. So one of the benefits is it allows one to research, because you may go outside of your company actually to research your industry, how things are, what's going on, and then determine maybe for you to focus. Okay, again, it comes back to focusing what might happen, where things might be going, and therefore you at least direct your company towards that future, proactively rather than reactively. Again, something we talked about in the previous point. So that's number 4. And then number 5 is, like I said, is involving your whole team. You want to involve the whole team. And also, of course, after everything has been done, eventually you want, again, to have the team know what the plans will be. Why? Because you want everyone to move in the same direction. Okay. And if it's, for example, your career, you also, it might be you, however, you want, to have gotten this information from elsewhere, and that you're moving in the direction perhaps where you want to see yourself, either in your company or elsewhere. If you feel maybe you won't get where you want to go in your company, but at least you have an idea where probably you could go and get the position or the career type of career you want. You could start, for example, researching other companies that would allow you to do that. Just as an example, maybe say you are working at a startup and you want to go get into a larger organization. This will allow you to do that when you have that. Okay, so that is all good. And so we look at some of the areas where a strategic planning could be done. Okay, what, as we said, is planning for the future. So some of the areas where strategic planning could be done would be, say, for example, more growth. More growth for the company. Right now, I'm going to talk about in terms of, excuse me, I'm going to talk about in terms of, a company, a small business. Okay. So in terms of growth, your growth could be that you want more customers. It goes towards business development. Maybe you want to get into more areas, okay, a larger part of your area. Maybe when you're studying, you studied from either just a small town or just a few towns around you, and then you want to now expand, say, into the state you are, into a bigger province, if you're from somewhere outside of, the US, or a bigger district, or things like that. Or it could be that you even want to open new locations elsewhere in your country, a new state, a new area, things like that. So that's where growth could be. Okay, and growth could also actually be perhaps in internally in your staff. Maybe you're moving people up to grow, so that as your company is growing, because they've been there and you don't want to go higher. For certain positions. Okay, so you're moving people up because, again, your company is growing, there's more maybe customers, and then you hire for the lower positions where at least the training won't take long, or someone doesn't have to have as much insider experience as you'd like. Insider experience as they need to. Okay, that is something you can teach someone and they learn, versus a higher position. Maybe they have to have some good insights into that. Especially this goes with startups, but also any other company. Okay. And then the other area where we could do strategic planning could be improvement of customer service. So how could this be? This would be, of course, if you find out that maybe, for example, reviews are not so good on Google, Yelp, or those kinds of platforms, you want to make sure that your customers are getting good customer service, either when they come into your store, if it's a physical location, or if it's on the phone. Okay, you want to really, really um, plan to have better customer service. Again, why? Because you want better customer retention. You want your customers to keep coming back. Okay. Another one will be improvements of products. So products could come in so many different ways. Products could be maybe types of events that you're doing or providing to your customers to keep them engaged. Products could be a physical product, actually, that maybe you need to improve, that you found that your customers are having some problems, and that probably you've seen the reviews again on those review platforms, and they're saying there's something wrong. So you look into improving those products, you look into improving events, you look into improving any kind of anything that service that you provide to customers. Okay, and then another one would be improvement of your profits. Now, profit, that would be for company, but it could also be improvement you yourself of your salary. Again, this goes back to someone maybe who wants to improve their career. They see themselves growing to have more responsibility, because usually when you are moving up a ladder of the career, you find moving up the ladder of career, I'll repeat that, you find that you're actually having more responsibility, you're responsible for more people in the organization. So that could mean many times that you're probably someone that may be going to get a higher salary or higher income elsewhere, or some other part of your life that you might want to improve upon. Okay, so those are some of the areas that could be improved upon. And then we continue in our previous point where we were talking about the benefits of strategic planning. So I had stopped at 6 and went a little bit deeper to see what types of, what types of teams, what types of items actually that could use strategic planning. So continuing on from that, number 6 is that we could actually formulate a strategy. Okay, so by formulating a strategy, we would talk about, after we've done all the analogy, all the analysis and everything else, the best next thing to do is actually to create that strategy plan. Okay, remember before it was a work plan, now it's a strategy plan. So how can we go about that? So one of the things that's best to do is really to match your strength. One of the things maybe I may have talked about before was to ensure, that as you talk about, as you work on the strategy plan, where you're being proactive versus reactive. One of the things to do is to use what they call the SWOT analogy or SWOT analysis. And SWOT is S as in Sam, W or T. SWOT stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. This is actually a tactic or a tool. I'll say a tool that is used a lot, in some project management or some aspect of something that's being analyzed. If you're looking for more information, okay, so you look for the strength, you look for the weaknesses, you look for the opportunities, and then also any threats. So one of the things to do is, coming back to a point of formulating a strategy, is once you find what the strengths are, you always make sure that you match those the best you can with the opportunities, the strength and then the opportunities. Why? Because if you know what you do well, you want to take advantage of the opportunities that are presented to you, either in your career, your life, or your business. Okay. And then also, as you formulate the strategy, you find that if you determine what areas you are weak at, and also where there may be threats, to these different areas that you're working through, again, career, life, or business. Make sure that you address those. Okay, you don't want to leave those hanging. You address them, you find weaknesses. Hey, how can we improve this? You find threats. What are the risk mitigations? Threats are usually risks. So you find mitigative ways or mitigation ways or steps that you can take to actually reduce those, okay, and help your organization, and also help maybe your career. All right. And then the other thing is to incorporate those strategic steps. And so how can we do that? So to incorporate these strategic steps, the thing to do is to determine what the action steps are actually needed. So after you analyze all those things using that SWOT, tool, you found the strengths, you find the weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. You create a plan, which is a strategic plan, and then you will set out action plans of what to do. Then after you set those out, you actually want to make sure that you assign them out. If you have a team of one like yourself, again, it goes back, determine and see where you may need help, where you could ask for help. Okay. If you have a team, great. You make sure that you assign each one something. And the best thing is to assign again according to strength. If you know what your teammates are good at or have strength in, and there's some on the list, you can assign them accordingly that way. But if it's also something maybe someone is not good at, but they could be average, or maybe they're fast learner, those are the kinds of decisions you have to make and assign, to the team or even to yourself. Find out which things that you can do that you're good at. You may not be great, but you can do them actually. But if there are those that you just feel you don't want to do, again, we go back to the procrastination. Instead of letting it linger, it's best to find help, to delegate it out, or to hire it out. Okay. And once you do that, then make sure that you create a timeline or milestones, for your strategic plans. Make sure that you give deadlines, because once we know we have deadlines, then we work towards that. And after you do that again, obviously, guess what? Then you work it. Work it. Make sure that you do implement it and you work it in your area. Okay. So we've, analyzed that. We've really where we can implement a strategic plan. And then we look into areas that we could implement actually these plans. What are some areas, for example, that usually go into having a strategy, we may not be doing well, maybe we need to look into. So some of those could be training. Maybe you've realized, now, sorry, I'm addressing now the areas that we could be working into for our strategic plans. So for example, if you realize that there's something that will be coming up in the future, it's better, and you know that in your industry, maybe just a few people or other organizations or companies are doing it. The best thing is to find some training and train your people. Okay, so what would that training entail? It really is according to where, especially either weaknesses or new areas that you've seen that are opportunities for you to undertake. And you could train either yourself, depending if you're the only one, if you're solopreneur, or depending, you could train your team. Another one would be hiring. Again, if you realize that, hey, maybe I need someone who needs to have this experience, who needs to have this type of skill set, you could hire that, you could hire and add on to your team. Then also, you could also be that maybe you're adding actually to ensure that you have more teammates that you can work with that to help you attain those goals. Okay, you could be adding to, or you could be hiring for experience. And then there are also other reasons, but those are the few reasons. Another area which you could be hiring for would be customer experience journey. Rather, which you'd be working towards would be the customer experience journey. Okay, we talked about customer experience before, or customer service. If this is an area maybe you feel that you could do better, you assess, since when a customer contacts you, they call in, maybe doing they call in and they're going to do a request for product, or if it's online, is this flowing properly? And you assess those and see what the customer journey is. And then another one would be business development. Business development essentially is you growing your business towards more customers, towards more people, towards maybe more locations. It doesn't have to be, but there are different types. Towards more, you know, what is it? Towards more franchises, for example, if it's a franchise or something like that. So it's all those things, areas as an example that you could really be working towards for a strategic plan that could have areas that need improvement. Okay, so my hope is that this has been helpful. But then last and not least is number 7, is always celebrating your wins. We all have to celebrate our wins to feel accomplished. It doesn't matter how small. And the best thing is if you have a community around you that you are free at least to celebrate with, even though you just say, hey, I did this, hey, this is a win. That would be great. So I definitely encourage you to be celebrating your wins. And then, of course, is one of the things under celebrating is for us to keep again assessing where we are, what we can do different, and if we're moving, really making progress and moving towards a goal, moving towards a long-term plan, a strategic plan. Okay. Again, the plan could be anywhere from a quarter, could be 6 months after that, and then a year, 2 years, 3, 5 years, 10 years, whichever. But also the other thing is to be flexible, because life happens. And as we've seen here during COVID, it's just, threw us off for a loop. But the thing is that you may have had to change things around, for example. And so that is where we have to be flexible. We have to be flexible, not rigid, according to what life brings us. So I hope this was helpful. Creating strategic plans. I know I myself, I will do some of that actually. And I hope that this was helpful. So I hope you will go actually do a comment, make a comment, and let me know what you think. What are some of the ways you've done a strategic plan? If you haven't, how are you going to do and assess a strategic plan or create one? When are you going to do it? I would suggest sooner. Maybe after April. Here, this is 2021. We are in February, the second last week of February. So maybe you could do it now, maybe not. You could wait until the first quarter, which is the end of March. But either way, listen, there are no rules. It's up to you. The only thing that is required is at least, try and implement that. Why? Because it helps us really to be proactive in what we're doing versus reactive. Okay. So I hope this was helpful. Thank you so much for listening. And if you have any questions, please comment in the comment section and I'll be sure to answer. If you have, if you'd like, I would love for you to join my mastermind. This one will be coming to an end, but there's one coming up in the future soon, in the spring. So I hope that you can follow me. Please follow my links or follow me on social and come jam with me on some of those. And I hope to see you. Thank you so much. Have a good one. Bye-bye.